Oh, I remember you as like a player before your time. I know we were speaking briefly about this earlier, but like obviously you played hooker, which traditionally is a gnarly old position. You're like quite slight in terms of body image, but an absolute baller. And I feel like 10 years later, like if you were playing now, you would be carving up as an unbelievable player, just with how the game has changed and obviously being able to use all of that skill set. So they're like my memories of you. Obviously at Lichfield, we spent a lot of time together there, and obviously at England. But yeah.
Just going to take a moment that Scaz called me a baller.
Yeah. That is a good
definitely.
compliment.
But you think back then, and like front rowers especially, and it's certainly not slamming anybody, but it was about basically putting your head down. Like that was the job. Put your head down. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Whereas that wasn't really your... that didn't excite you that much.
No, it didn't excite me that much. I mean, me and Ross, so Ross was a loose head. We got to play 9 and 10 at uni, and I was like, I proper came to life. Like,
so at uni you played 9 and 10, and then you go to Lichfield and play 2 and 1 and 2?
1 and 2, yeah.
That's quite a change.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it was the time, like, yeah, I mean, the game model that England played in that era probably definitely didn't suit my, like, skill set, which is probably some of the factors of, like, probably making the decision of retiring at that point.
How old were you when you stopped playing?
22, 23.
Really? Because that is like crazy young, really, isn't it? What were the main reasons for that?
Yeah, so I think we probably alluded to some of the things. So I think I just didn't fit into the model that England wanted to play at that point. And I think, like the impact that it had on me, and I don't think moving from what was under 19s at the time into the senior game, I probably just didn't feel that equipped as a player, which is why I'm so passionate about coaching the pathway now. And I think the coaching at the time was quite old school and very much, improve this, do better at that, get bigger. And it chipped away at my confidence, and then that chips away at your self-belief. And I only had rugby as my identity at that point. And when your kind of identity is all wrapped into one thing, and when rugby was good, life was good, but when rugby wasn't good, life felt really challenging. And I think my mental health like suffered so much that I just got to a point where I had actually been out in Dubai Sevens playing for the Pink Barbars, and everything I loved about rugby suddenly fell into one weekend. I know you've played out, so I can see you smiling.
So
this is like, it's like all the social, great rugby, like it's obviously sevens, so it kind of comes with that kind of social territory, but like just like a bit of flair and like everything I loved and fell in love with the game about. And then I went back to, at the time I like finished my like playing career at Wasps, and I don't think I'd like come from playing at Lichfield where I was playing with my best friends from uni, and felt a club that I really felt like I had shaped, to then being at Wasps to play Prem, and they were all super lovely, but I just didn't feel as connected that I'd had experience of like so many years at Lichfield. And I just remember driving there, it was like hammering with rain. We were doing a scrum session, I was freezing cold, and I just instantly, I just felt this kind of like, I don't know why I'm here. Like, I just like wasn't, I just like noticed like this like pang in my tummy of like, I've fallen out of love with this. And if you don't love it, at the time it's not professional. So I was working, like I had my own business, I was PT at the time. And you're working like ridiculous hours and training ridiculous hours around it. And I just was just like, I'm done. Like, I just remember this feeling of I'm done. And I'm probably like, because at its darkest points, it was like really low. And I just think almost like that kind of decision of, I feel like I'm saving my own life to come out of that and take some time away from it. So yeah, it just felt like the right decision. And I that sounds really dark and really deep, so I'm sorry for sharing all of that.
No,
but
please.
I totally am grateful for that experience, because I think it's really shaped me as the person I am now and the perspective I've now got. And I think that's, I mention it like that, so why I'm so passionate about coaching the pathway, to set people up really better to thrive through like that next step, because it is a massive jump from being in age group rugby to playing the senior game, and even more so in today's like like standards. So,
but it's so important because there'll be so many people that can relate to that, and they're either still playing because they feel like they have to, or they haven't quite found the next thing, or they're scared to not do it. So actually, to hear somebody who's been through what you have, to have played at the level you have, actually say that, I think hopefully will resonate with a lot of people, and they'll find it really beneficial. So thank you for sharing. In terms of coaching, did you then take a period out of the game before you coached, or did you move straight into coaching and then immediately kind of like find that love again, but in a completely different capacity?
I probably had about 3 years where I literally closed the chapter of rugby and thought I'm never gonna, like, which was challenging at the time because like my dad loved coming to all the games with me, like my husband played rugby, all my friends were rugby, so it was really hard to like step back away from it. But I just kind of closed this like chapter and thought, if I'm honest, like, which sounds a bit ridiculous when I say it out loud, but like saw it as a failure, even though I got, you know, a handful of caps, but I saw it as a failure and like, what a waste of time. And I just need to like find out who I am as a person. So I probably had about 3 years where I couldn't even go to Twickenham with my dad to watch a game because I just struggled to deal with it. And then I think fell into coaching from going down to Henley, which was where my husband played at the time, and then the women's team just did some guest coaching, and I instantly felt this kind of appreciation for like the impact you can have in a small moment. And I love the escapism of coaching, so you have to be fully present. So for me, like this kind of, I actually feel like more comfortable and more me coaching than I ever did playing, because of like, as a player, I think where I finished my career was like really struggling in the environment. It felt really like almost like so like threatening and challenging to then be like, how can I create an environment that feels like you can really flourish and thrive, and you can instantly have that impact as a coach? And it felt really fulfilling. So it was a little bit addictive. So I kept going, oh yeah, I'll do a little bit more guest coaching. And then I kind of fell into, all right, I'm head coach now all of a sudden. But I really enjoyed like almost growing and learning new skills again, but in a different, still being on the field, but in a different kind of way.
So is the passion for coaching like in that pathway because of your previous experiences, because you want to make that either transition more seamless for other players, and just kind of that whole piece easier? Or do you have aspirations to coach at a higher level?
Yeah, great question. So I can answer part of that, and I probably can't answer like the last bit, because I'm not sure I quite worked that out, but I'm quite comfortable that I've not worked it out. I guess my North Star of coaching is to be the coach I always wanted to have, and I quite like the sentiment of that, because I can't get to the end point, as in I've got to keep developing, I've got to keep learning myself. But it's something that guides me just principally because I think of, if it is hammering down with rain, is what would I want if I was a player right now? I'd want to keep moving. I would want it to be really engaging, like not like pausing for tons of coaching intervention, right? So I think that does help guide me. And I also think like when I'm giving someone feedback, or I'm like, how do I want them to feel in this moment? Like, what do I want them to leave with from this conversation? So I think it just guides me. Probably from some of the experiences that I had that I didn't feel great in those moments, or I didn't engage in sessions. So I think it's more around that.
I love that. I want to be the coach that I wanted to have. I really like that. Preach. Amen. Amen, sister.